survivor, the woman who everyone, from fans to friends to family, deemed as unbreakable, was falling apart before my eyes. As she shared what was in her heart that night, she confessed that she still carried a sense of endless guilt about the abuse her sister and daughters had suffered at the hands of her ex-husband, Trino. She wished she had figured it out sooner. She wished she could have done something to stop it. But when she finally found out, more than 10 years later, it was too late, for the damage had been done. As we delved further into these events that forever changed the life of her sister and daughters, as well as her own existence, I urged her to let go of all that guilt once and for all. It did her no good and drove her to overcompensate with her children in ways that proved to be unhealthy for all of them. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself, Jenn. You have to. I kept repeating this phrase, hoping to get the message across to her. I just wanted to see her happy again. You know, Pete, I've finally accepted that I was also a victim. I was 15 years old, the first time I even had sex. I ended up pregnant, and he was in his 20s. What did I know? She was right, and she'd also suffered domestic abuse, way too much for a teenager to handle, but she somehow managed to keep going. I was glad to see her accepting that she too had been a victim. Then the conversation took a turn into her present life circumstances, the one reason she felt her world had been shattered into a million pieces. Her daughter, Chiquis. She was so hurt and in disbelief, trying to come to terms with what she believed was her daughter's ultimate betrayal. At the time, she couldn't have cared less about her soon-to-be ex-husband, Esteban. Losing a man had nothing against the possibility of losing a daughter. Chiquis was her blood, her baby, her best friend, her confidant. They had been in the trenches together ever since Jenni gave birth to her at 15, so the thought that Chiquis had betrayed her in such a way caused her unbearable pain, disappointment, and shame. Jenn couldn't come to terms with this. She didn't know what to do. She was as lost as I had ever seen her. She didn't want to bring any of this to the public light because, at the end of the day, no matter what happened, Chiquis was her daughter, and even though they were not speaking and Jenni was hurt beyond repair, she would never throw her own flesh and blood under the bus. She would never humiliate her princess in that way. She would always protect her no matter what went down between them. But it was eating her up inside, and she finally let it all out and broke down. Jenni was the glue in the Rivera family. That is even clearer now than it was back then. She helped keep them all united, yet this time she had no idea how she was going to come back from this latest blow. She was like a broken mirror. You could piece her back together, but the cracks were still visible. She was devastated. Sitting before me was a woman who was adored by millions, who had rolled up her sleeves and worked tirelessly for years on end to make her dreams come true. Someone who had hit innumerable milestones in her career, who had fought tooth and nail to give her children the life they deserved, who inspired countless women who had been knocked down to get up, dust themselves off, and keep moving forward. Yet that day, those tear-filled eyes told me the real story. Our hard-working, unstoppable Diva de la banda was feeling completely defeated and lost. When our conversation finally came to an end, I gave her a big bear hug and told her I was there for her, always. She was my sister, and I was ready to do anything I could to lift her spirits and help her get her personal life back on track. In retrospect, I'm so grateful we were able to share that meaningful moment, those words, that heart-to-heart conversation. I'm glad I was able to be there for her to help lighten the load she had been carrying those past few months, even if only for a moment. I had faith she would be okay and everything would work itself out. I was sure she would eventually be able to pick herself up again and move on, as she had done in countless other situations. She just needed a little time to figure it all out. But what I didn't know was that time was no longer on her side. That day wasn't technically the last day I saw Jenn, but it was the last meaningful conversation we had before she left this world. The one I will never forget. The actual last time I saw her was on December 5th, 2012, during the taping of her radio show, Contacto Directo con Jenni Rivera, which she taped every Wednesday. She was scheduled to fly to Mexico.